Welcome everyone back to Pommy and Oz. Hope we're all doing really well. It's Monday, it's another week. We're well into February, so we're into the second month of the year. It's flying by. The AFL season is fast approaching. It flies so quick, doesn't it? Just before you start to get a bit sad that you haven't got any footy, it's kind of back without any shape or form. So if you are new around here, make sure you drop that like. Make sure you give me that subscribe. Just help the channel out. We are doing a giveaway. I will announce it next week for this one. So the winner of the last one was Tag ARBOR Consulting. So I have tried to get in contact with you. I'll leave another message, but you are the winner of the $100 gift card. So if you can make yourself known, my friend, it was a real fun membership live stream. We're going to do that once a month, and we're going to do just a regular live stream as well as the season cranks in. So if you do want to become a member, the link is in the description to do that. Be all part of the fun giveaways. We've got quite an exciting one this. I'm just trying to finalise it, so I shall let you guys and girls know in due course. And we're here with the Fremantle 22, which is an exciting one, I think, because they are one of the few teams in the AFL that I do get excited to watch apart from my own team. So let's get into it. And we've gone with the full-back line. We've gone with Ryan, Pearce and Chapman. I think that this trio is a real solid full-back line. I think Ryan is, for me, one of the most solid footballers in the world. He's a guy that I really enjoy watching. I think he's an incredible interceptability, very good kick. He uses it incredibly well, and he really goes about his work, I think, in an understated way. Very solid player, and a player that can turn defence into attack. And in today's game where transition is such a heavy focus, I think he's incredibly important. Pearce, I think, is an incredible stopper. He's had some winning records against some big names in the last couple of years. Really strong one-on-one and really solid down there, and a real reliable player. And Heath Chapman, a young up-and-comer and a guy that I'm a real big fan of. There's a few young little halfbacks and young players that Fremantle have got, and they seem to have loads. It feels like the Carlton vibe, that they have quite a few. Who are really exciting, and I'm expecting big things from. And I think Chapman last year showed a lot of signs of what he's about and where he's going to go. And I think this year is another year where he can take that next step and really solidify himself into the top echelon of players in the AFL competition. On the halfback line, we've got another young guy, Hayden Young. Now, this kid here has got it. I am a big fan of Young. I enjoy... Since he's made his debut, I enjoy watching him. I think he's got a lot of facets. He gives me young Shannon Hearn vibes as well, in the way that he's very calm and cool in traffic and looks to really give it off and give it into attacking positions. But he is very stable on his defensive side as well. We've gone Coxie there, another big tall, redeveloped, more of a forward now, really dominating in that down the back. Probably their weak area, you would say. You'd say that Cox is probably one of the guys that some of the younger guys, particularly Hugh Davis, who they recruited, would be looking at in the future of taking that role. And then you've got Clark. I love Clark, and I think it's one of the best acquisitions in the last couple of years in the trade period. He's a very, very electric footballer and someone that you really want off the half-back line. And whether he's there or whether he's floating up on the wing, he's damaging, he likes to get involved, he likes to attack. And I'm a big fan of that, and I think he's a real solid back six. There's spectacular players there, players that can change the game, but there's also players that, you know, are real reliable. And I think what people forget is when you're doing these best 22s, people try and cram 22 stars into a side, don't they? 22 X-Factor players. But generally the rule is it's the solid workhorses, then bottom 8 in that 22, that win you the football games, because they are the constant features. So I think that back six has got a real nice mix. We're going through the centre line now. Got Ugur Koken as the centre man. I like this acquisition. If he can stay fit, I think he's a real string to Fremantle's bow. A little bit of contested animal about him. There is that turn of class as well. We've seen him break games open on his own. With O'Driscoll and James H on either side of him. I'm a big fan of these wing pairings as well, and I think they've got a lot of flotation through here as well. Few players can float through there that we've named in this 22. But A's reliable, he's been there, he's done it. He's played a lot of games at AFL level, very competent with O'Meara. And Nathan, O'Driscoll on the other side, I really like this kid here. He is a very aggressive footballer, really takes the game on. And I think Fremantle this year, one of their big question marks is, we know they can stop teams, but can they score enough? Players like O'Driscoll and Clark are going to be a big part of that, particularly with Ryan with his interceptability, of can they start scoring on transition? We know that they don't mind giving up possession, and they're very solid in that back half of the ground. It's about getting the ball in the hands of these players, getting them into open space, and really causing damage. And I think as a counter-punch side, this is where you could see Fremantle maybe surprise people. I'm kind of 50-50 on Fremantle. I have a lot of respect for them. But I think if they can get that as that counter-punch style, that kind of Jurgen Klopp type style in the football, that could be really exciting. And I think they're the kind of players, if I was a Fremantle plan, I'd be looking to. The half-forward line then, we've got Matt Taberner. This guy is one of these guys that, in my circle of friends, he's been picked up quite early in our little dynasty drafts and stuff, and we do have a bit of a laugh, because he's not the kind of guy that Matt Taberner, you think key forward extraordinaire, do you? But he's very, very reliable. He's very, very solid. He does his job. And he does surprise you with the amount of goals he kicks. He's one of them guys that when he scores a goal, you probably don't really notice it. But I think he's a very important figure for them and the conduit they've got, especially with the talented players they've got around Taberner. I think he's a very good focal point. And we've seen that players kind of not get the kudos when they play this role. Brody Majocek would be a great example at Collingwood, a guy that does kick a plethora of goals, but probably isn't liked in the terms of what his media give him and the kudos he gives. And I'd imagine, I don't know a lot of Fremantle fans, but I'd imagine Fremantle fans really do appreciate what Taberner's about. So I like him. And then we've got Fife and Frederick. Fife becoming that third forward, bit damaging in the latter end of his career. One of my favourite players to watch outside of Carlton, though. Nat Fife is an incredible, terrific footballer. And we've got Frederick on the other end. I really like Frederick. He's a box of tricks. He's dangerous. He works really hard up the ground. Little bit of a canny player as well. I really like that trio there. I think there's a little bit of X Factor. There's a little bit of spark. There's nous. And I think so far we're 15 players into this 22. I think that it's a healthy side. It's a healthy side. The full forward line, Lockie Schultz, one of these players that, when I do my reports, my scouting reports when we play Fremantle, Schultz is a guy that probably people are like, Pom, why are you picking on him? Why are you picking him out as a threat? He's just an annoying footballer, isn't he? He's got a real uncanny ability of stopping backmen, break lines, but he can also just make it really incredibly tough to get any freedom in any space. And like we say, in a game of transition, that's incredibly important. And with Fremantle's defence, probably why Fremantle's defence is so strong is they really starve clean ball from the back, from exit of D50. And Schultz is a big part of that. I've gone Big Jackson, Lukey Jackson at full forward. I do think he'll start in the forward line and rotate in the ruck, obviously. But I do think that they'll have that bench option. Jackson, I think he's a very good forward in his own right and a very good ruckman as well. Very exciting. I think this is going to be one of them ones where we look at the price paid. My gut tells me it's going to be a 50-50. Everyone breaks even. But I think Jackson is a real get. Real exciting. And then we've got Walters on the other side of him. No doubt about Walters' class. Kind of come under a little bit of criticism in the recent years. Is it fair? Probably not, in my opinion. Because I think Walters is a game changer. A real super player. And you've got to pay him the respect because this guy doesn't need 30 touches to change a game. He needs 10 and he can kick 4. And he's done that time and time again in his career. Kick goals in batches. I'm a big fan. And I do think with the Arsenal they've got, and particularly when we talked about the wingers, Clark and players like that, there's going to be a lot of early ball coming in because they have got decent kicks and they do take the offensive option. Walters is one of them guys that I'm looking at and thinking, I think this could be a year where he just reminds everyone how good he is. The followers, Big Darcy. I'm going to keep on the Darcy train because I do think he's going to blow up. For me, he is the gone threat in waiting. And I think this could be his year. I love what Darcy does. Not when he's hurting Pitternet, But I do like the fact that he's an old school ruckman. He's tough. He's got some very creative players around him as well. So he doesn't need to be the most mobile player. I do like it when he slots forward as well. He's a little bit of an annoyance. I think that and Jackson is going to really work well. And I'm a big fan of what he does because I think his tap work and his ruck work, all in all, is pretty solid. It's pretty spectacular for me. And then we've got Sarong and Brayshaw. Brayshaw, great conversation. Is he the best player in the competition? He'll be up there this year, most certainly. Him and Tuck Miller are two people that I really do think are going to really jettison and have big years for their club and need big years for their club. And Caleb Sarong, probably a bit of a quiet year after his breakout year the year before, but that's probably because people have got really good around him, and I think Brayshaw was a real standout, which maybe took the knock on him. I think Sarong is going to really relish this year, and I think that you're going to start to see a bit of continuity between Brayshaw and Sarong, and it's going to start going really well. And I am excited about seeing that pairing in the AFL. The interchange bench then, we've gone with Jai and Miss. I think a Miss is going to have a really big year. I think there's a good argument here with Bigger Miss that there is that position opened up in the terms of when you look at their forward line and we've started Jackson. And I think it's going to really help his career moving forward that he doesn't have to be ready today. And when he comes on, he can take that third player. I'm a big fan of what this kid is about. He's shown enough for me, 196. He was spectacular at East Perth. 51 goals, I think it was, wasn't it, from 15 at Colts level, which is ridiculous. Incredible leading pattern, incredible read of the game, and someone that I suspect will play real early doors. And I think he's going to start very early on, and I'm excited about that acquisition. Switkowski, very solid, does what you see on the tin, gives some options as well, can play multiple roles and very solid. Will Brodie really impressed me from his move, and he's a guy that probably never got the opportunity at Geelong, really embracing it. Tough body, big body. Will O'Meara take his minutes is my question. I think he will, but I don't mind it because I think that extra rotation allows them to slot a Sarong and a Brayshaw resting more on half forward to be a bit damaging with the entry inside 50. And Big Walker there, I'm a big fan of this kid, and I think it's another rotation which really allows them to have some depth. And I think there's a nice little array there because they've got a lot of rotation in that starting 18 to go with the talent. And then we end with the ones to watch. Neil Erasmus is one that I want you to keep an eye on. I'm a big fan of Erasmus. I really am. I really like what he's about. I like the way he goes about it. He's a good little find for them, and a guy that I think moving forward will get a lot of opportunity and just needs a few waffle games just to sort himself out. He's only 19, so you've got to remember that. He's a young kid, but there's a lot of nice things he does. I like the way he moves in traffic. I like the way that he looks to break as well. And he also has that wonderful ability as well of not being afraid to take the game on, which is something that I think you can rein in. We've gone with Wagner, the mature age recruit. His form for Port Melbourne is insane, and I do think he'll get minutes. I do think, and I can see him, playing at that half back and really offering it. And I do think he'll play. I'd lock him down for about 10 games this year. I think he'll get in, maybe more. And then Emmett and Johnson, two young bucks coming through the system. By reports, have had decent pre-seasons, and I think there's a lot of excitement about Fremantle, and they're two of them. Emmett, we know a little bit. He's one of them mature ages, and his form in Sandford was absolutely ridiculous as well. Has to be said. His form was incredible, and he's got the body at 20 years old to start very early on. Not shy of the goals. Whether it's high half forward, going in the midfield, or playing in the pocket, this guy has got some potential, and I expect to see him play. And Johnson, see the same. Very strong little footballer. Got something about him as well. A bit of a bigger body. He isn't scared to take the game on. He looks in terrific shape as well by reports, and he'll definitely be in the mix at the time. But Matty Johnson is one of them guys who I just think could really be one of them players that we're not talking about now, but based on his form at Subiaco, could suddenly scare you and be in it. Was very solid, very clearance animal, and someone that I think will be a fine string to Fremantle's bow. That's my Fremantle 22. Dockers fans, let me know what you think. If you're not a Dockers fan, please be kind and respectful of their team as well. We do like to have a discussion there. And best of luck for the year, apart from when you play the Blues. But I will be back on Wednesday with some more, and we've got some Carlton content coming up as well. So stay tuned for that. Pom out.